Around this time of year, I typically do an episode where I kind of go through the bullet points of like what happened in the previous year and kind of what to plan for in the year ahead. And I'm not going to go that in depth, but I am going to review some of the stuff I talked about at the end of 2024, things that you needed to be prepared for in 2025. And as I read through this list, I'm like, I hope everyone did this because, this is what successful mortgage people in 2025 are doing. Now, none of this is revolutionary, but these are things that we didn't have to worry about for years, really, in the mortgage industry. And as we recognized in 2024 that, things are not going to get substantially better, meaning we're not going to have the market, really put the wind beneath our wings here. It's going to take hard work and discipline in order to be successful. And so one of the first things I wrote down, and I told you all, that in 2025, the second jobs and the distractions need to go, right? Like those people that are left in the mortgage business need to be focused 100% on their career in the mortgage industry. And I feel like we've seen that happen. We've seen a lot of people exit this industry. And look, I don't think that's a good thing necessarily. I mean, I guess it is a good thing for those that are left. It's a bummer to see that happen, but I don't think this is an industry for part-timers. And I think that shook itself out, and I talked about that at the beginning of the year. I said, get your database dialed in. How many conversations have we had this year about your database, and how important is it with the refinance opportunities, which I think they're massive. There's massive refinance opportunities right now, but they're not the obvious ones. They're not the ones where people just start calling you because they need a rate term refinance because rates have dropped so significantly. Now, there's some of that, but it's not the bulk of it. The bulk of it is people who need strategic financing solutions for their particular situation, whether it be, doing home improvements, whether it be helping their kids get, through college, whether it be debt consolidation. These are conversations that happen with people you have relationships with your database, if you're actively engaging with your database. And a CRM is by far the best way to do that. So making sure your database is dialed in. If you didn't get that done in 2025, let's make sure that we keep that goal in 2026. Learn how to do strategic refinances, right? Like what are the scenarios that people might be looking for or situations that people might be in that you can solve their problem? These are strategic refinance opportunities, and be familiar with those. Brush up on your streamline, requirements and guidelines. Make sure that as we see those dips, when there are these fleeting opportunities to do some rate and term refinances, and streamlines, that you're prepared to execute on those. Set a strike rate for all your borrowers. Many of you may have done that and you never hit that rate here in 2025. Well, renew that list. Keep in touch with those people. Keep that going into 2026. And focus on building your network. The real estate agents that referred you business over the last couple of years may not be the same people you can rely on in the future, because that industry has taken a lot of bumps and bruises as well with low inventory and low volume of transactions. People are not as focused. Some real estate agents are not leaning into this more difficult market, and they're getting out, or they're disengaging, or they don't need to be as proactive. So always got to be cultivating new relationships. We talked a lot about that. And the two other things that I'm going to add that I think are really important.